Welcome to 2020 Field Trip, Greater Dallas Organic Gardening Club. Here we are at Temple Emanu-El, and we are here to view this beautiful garden with these most enthusiastic gardeners who have managed all of this here. So we welcome you to come and visit with them, and we want to say thank you so much to all the members and all the volunteers who work here at Temple Emanu-El Stone Community Garden. Welcome.
Two events came together to create the gardens that you're going to see today at Temple Emanu-El. One was our long-standing relationship with Vickery Meadow community, which is about 2 miles from here. We have been involved in a collaborative food pantry there for 10 years. We serve people from Sudan, from Myanmar, from all the people that you see on the news that are trying to get out of some country. They're probably in Vickery Meadow, which creates the idea that we can't just give them canned food, and that's one of the reasons behind the garden. The second is that in 2010, Temple Emanu-El developed a new mission statement in order to make our congregation and the temple more aware of our environment. It's part of the Hebrew imperative Tikkun Olam, to heal the world, which we take very, very seriously. Those two things came together with a little water and a little sun to see the gardens that you're going to visit today. The garden started with 50 eager volunteers in this small garden. People adopted a bed. There were 3 people to each bed. So I was in bed 5 with 2 other friends. But that's how it started. Everybody kind of grew what they wanted. We had some modest success, I would say, modest, but it brought the community gardeners together. We had some master gardeners. We had some people who plant the green side up. That's me. And we had other people who just liked the imperative of to healing the world. So that's how it started. Then, as we had some success, we had an amazing donation from a very generous family at Temple to honor their parents' 60th wedding anniversary. We acquired the greenhouse, and the Temple agreed to let us have the land on the other side to begin to grow more and more. Since then, that has made the difference, because we have so much more land. We have so many more master gardeners who do not belong to Temple, but definitely believe in what we're doing here for the Vickery Meadow community. So that has made all the difference for us.
Hello and welcome to our greenhouse. This greenhouse was a gift from our very generous donors at Temple Emanu-El. And what it does is afford us the luxury of starting our spring and fall crops earlier in the season than we would be able to without it. This is a typical setup that we use. What we do in January is we put our seeds in seedling trays, and they sit on these heating mats for 2 or 3 weeks until they grow, they germinate, and get their first true leaves. At that point, we bump them up into these 4-inch pots, and they sit under these grow lights for 4 or 5 weeks. If our timing is right, between January and the middle of March, our baby plants are big enough and strong enough, and the soil is warm enough that we can then transplant them into the ground.
Hi, my name is Wendy Leantz, and I've been involved with the community garden since its inception. I am a lifelong member of Temple Emanu-El, and became a master gardener in 2011. And after a career in catering at Central Market, I started my dream job, which is to teach farm to table at the Temple Emanu-El Early Childhood Education Center. This is one of my gardens that I get to take care of with the children. This is called our kitchen garden, and this is where we grow most of the vegetables that we use in our cooking classes. COVID has kind of changed things a little bit, but this is now an outdoor classroom 24/7. So this is where we like to teach the children about caring for the earth, caring for each other, caring for living things. And as you can see, we're growing a lot of wonderful things here. And the goal of our Farm to Table program is for children to understand where their food comes from, that we don't just find it in a grocery store or at a fast food restaurant, that we can actually take seeds or baby plants, we can give them good soil, we can play with the worms that give our soil lots and lots and lots of good things, sunlight, water, nourishment, and our plants can grow with some prayers to God. So the children water, and they talk about the sun, and they pray and say, grow big, grow tall, grow strong. And after a while, we get to come back in and harvest. So right now I've got tomatoes growing, and the kids have been harvesting those. We've got lots of eggplant growing over here, and the kids have been roasting eggplant. So we've had a lot of fun since school started. Lots of wonderful sweet peppers. And we've just planted radishes and kale and lettuces and all kinds of fall crops.
Hi, I'm Kay. I've been with the garden since about 2014. This garden space that you see here is the result of a request from one of our wonderful Temple families. And you can see we partner here with the North Texas Food Bank. We also partner with the Dallas County Master Gardeners Association. We partner with the IRC, which is International Rescue Committee. And in fact, in the small garden, we have 2 beds that we have donated for their use. We come every Sunday morning and every Wednesday morning to harvest and to do chores. And if anybody wants to come, they are welcome. We have people from literally off the street say, I see you out here gardening. Can I come garden? So the answer is yes. We welcome anybody. You don't have to have experience. We will teach you what you need to know, as long as you don't care about your hands getting dirty. So my phone number is 469-585-2859. Please text me. I will send you all the information that you need to know so that you can show up here. We've been coming during the summer at 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings and at 8 o'clock on Wednesday mornings. And probably with the time change coming up, we'll bump it back an hour. But that allows us to get stuff done before it gets too hot and people fall over. So that's about all I have. We've got some other folks up here that will be glad to talk to you. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Julie Keith, and I'm a Dallas Master Gardener, and I also hold some advanced training in propagation and greenhouse management. What I was tasked with here in this garden was to create a plan, and this includes plant and seed selection, and as well included in a good crop rotation. So we try to grow plants that our population likes, which we plant for the Vickery Meadows food pantry. Therefore, we are planting a lot of food that is for an Asian, Middle Eastern, and even sometimes an African population. So we have a lot of different plants that people don't normally have in their home gardens. So we have in our beds, which I have a big whiteboard here, which is my plan, and also I do a plan beach garden that includes the crop rotation for each season. So this is currently what we have in our gardens. And as you can see in the beds, we have mustards, lettuces, cabbages, collards. We are still growing some black-eyed peas, kohlrabi, and we also this year decided to try a more protein, high protein plant, which is a fava bean. And so we are growing a test bed right now of fava beans to see if we can include those in our production here. This is the big garden right here, and then this is the small garden in some of the beds over here. We have kale, we have Chinese broccoli, spinach, daikon radishes, bok choy, mizuna, arugula, and something called choy sum, which is a nice stir-fry type of plant, like a broccoli stem. On the trellises, we have things like, right now we still have cucumbers, snake melons, long beans, bitter melons, and sweet potato vine. We try to use recommended varieties that you can find on the AgriLife Extension website, but we also have to take recommendations from other community gardens that do the same kind of thing that we do, especially for the Asian vegetables, because you won't find many of those that have been tested for the Texas heat. And actually we have to find that small window where we can grow them, which is in real early spring or late in the fall. So.
Hey, welcome to the community garden here. One of the first things we want to say here on behalf of the water team is that we consider water to be our most valuable resource. And of course what we do here is we follow emphatically all of the Texas A&M water conservation principles. Again, that's one of our charges here. We have here raised beds. We've got 5 pollinator beds, and we've got 4 farmers rows, both in the new and in the old garden. And the primary water source for that are 2 major drip systems, and we manage and monitor those on a regular basis. Now, monitoring a garden of this size is really handled by the water team, and these beds, those farmers rows, are actually metered every single day, and that information is logged into our database, and we're able to refer to it. With the primary resource being the irrigation system, when the water team members monitor it, they're looking for anything that's going to be other than wet. So if you've got a bed, for example, it's going to be low moist or dry, that's going to call for some additional watering, and that's going to happen that particular day. And we do that manually. Of course, that information is entered into the log. So again, we're managing this. One of the other master gardeners reflected that this is a moving target, the water here. And it's a moving target based on not only the weather, which thank God is cooled up a little bit, but when you get wind like this, there's a lot of evaporation. It sucks water right off of the beds. Of course, the heat does. And also, plants in their different states. For example, you've got fairly new plantings over here. You have, like this bitter melon here, in full production, so it requires a lot more water. So we're monitoring these on a regular basis and then adjusting the major system accordingly. The water team is just an incredible group of folks, again, to come out and we've managed to maintain a rather large production. You've probably heard those numbers. The production basically is obviously for our clients over at the food pantry that we serve, Vickery Meadow, and for being good conservators. It's a great privilege to be able to service on this in this particular project, and we just don't. I think the bottom line is we just don't turn on a spigot and then walk away from it. We manage the water here, manage it very, very carefully, and I think you can see the results that we've had. It's a privilege, it's an honor to be able to service on this team. Thank you.
Composting here at the garden. It's just one of the support functions really for the main activities in the garden. We try not to generate any more waste than we have to. So we compost all of our used vegetation, plants that are pulled out after their harvest is completed. Of course, compost is also one of the best soil builders that you can use, and it's a real economic benefit to be able to produce your own rather than have to buy all of it that you use. It's a really simple process. Honestly, you can't stop plants from composting. It's a natural process, but what we try to do is to speed it up. To do that, we chop up the vegetation really fine. That we use a lawnmower. They sell dedicated compost choppers, but most of them are a whole lot more expensive than a lawnmower and have clogging problems and other maintenance issues. So we just use a plain old, cheap, low-end rotary lawnmower, and in addition then to having a compost chopper, we can also use it as a mower. That's handy at times. We chop everything as fine as we can. You need 4 things for compost: greens, browns, water, and air. Greens are kind of fresh, juicy vegetation, provide nitrogen. Browns are dried up vegetation like leaves that have fallen, that provide a carbon source. Water, you want things just to be damp, not soaking and soggy. And air, that is where the work comes in. You have to turn the compost pile periodically to keep air mixed in. It takes us about 2 to 4 months, depending on what we have to work with, to produce a batch of compost, and that would give us maybe a cubic yard to work with. And we keep the piles going all the time. We've got a lot of beds. We do 2 to 4 crops per bed per year, so there's a constant flow of vegetation, and we just try to get as little of it as possible going to the dumpsters and as much as possible back into the ground. Thank you.
Well, now that we've explained all the steps that we take for this wonderful garden, as far as soil prep, seed selection, propagation, composting, worms, and watering, the whole point of coming here is because we want to harvest. So we harvest our food for the Vickery Meadows Food Bank, which we've already explained to you. That is located on Greenville and Walnut Hill, very, very close to here, where the clients do come in on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So when this garden originally started, all the work days and the harvest days were on Sunday. And as we continue to grow leafier, more delicate vegetables, we realized that the vegetables were not keeping for us, because Kay would harvest them on Sundays, take them to the food bank, and store them in the refrigerator. And it was told to me by some of the volunteers there that the vegetables just looked pretty wilted. So I decided that we should do a harvest on Wednesdays so that the food would be actually very fresh. So now we come on Wednesdays and we harvest all the leafy greens, all the lettuces and the kales and the bok choys, tatsoys, herbs, so that when they are picked and they're taken to the food bank, everybody gets nice, fresh, healthy food. So I want to give you a few numbers. When this garden was first started, which Deidre explained, the first year they harvested 86 pounds of food. Fast forward to 2018, we harvested 1,300 pounds of food, which is about 113 pounds a month. Last year, we harvested 1,600 pounds of food, which is about 138 pounds a month. And this year, the 9 months that we've been here, we're averaging about 400 pounds of food per month. So we're up over 3,600 pounds of food. And as far as our volunteers, they're Temple members, they're Master Gardeners, they're Master Gardener interns, they're anyone in the community that's interested in gardening or wanting to learn how to garden. And pre-COVID, we had a lot of the high school students that would come in and do their community service hours. So if any of you have a desire to want to come help us,
come out Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock to harvest, or Sunday morning at 8 o'clock to also harvest and work in the gardens. Just let Kay know, because we do stand with COVID standards of 10 people per garden, but since we have 2 gardens, that's up to 20 people. We all wear masks, we socially distance, we do supply the tools, we have lots of wipes and hand sanitizers. So please come join us.